Welcome to our closing session of EGSR 2020. It was an eventful week, and we did not know how well one could recreate the experience of a physical conference, but I have to say the outcome really exceeded my expectations. In particular, I was impressed by the community spirit and how lively people interacted on Rocket Chat. There were many, many moments where I had to remind myself that everyone's sitting at home rather than actually spending time together at a conference. In this last session, the time flew by. In this last session, we're going to start with the Best Paper Award ceremony, followed by some closing remark by us organizers. So without further ado, I'm handing over to the papers chairs and the award chair.
Thanks, Tim, and hello everyone from my side. We paper chairs hope that you like the conference and the scientific program of EGSR. And as its crowning glory, we will now have the announcement of the Best Paper Award. So this decision has been made by an award committee with handpicked and of course non-conflicted experts from the IPC. And with this, I'm already handing over to Elmar Eisemann, who is one of them and who will shed light on the process.
Thank you very much, Carsten, for the introduction. I'm very honored and excited to present the award on behalf of the entire committee today. Obviously, this last step of basically sitting here on stage is only a very small element in comparison to what happened behind the scenes in the last days. This is why I would like to start by introducing the other members of the committee. It consists of Holly Raschmeyer from Yale and Peter Pike-Sloan from Activision. And in the last days, we took a look at a lot of different papers in order to come up with the winner of this year's conference. In this context, I also want to send out another thank you to the organizers and paper chairs for organizing this fantastic event. But despite this conference being great, being on an award committee is not always fun, because when you start reading all these fantastic papers, you realize that it's very difficult to make a decision. And therefore, we had to come up with a very good system that allows us to at least reduce the number of potential candidates. So what we did was to say that we only looked for papers that received a top evaluation by the reviewers, that presented creative and really novel ideas, and that had a high impact and potential future impact on our community. With this, I'm very pleased to start by announcing the honorable mention of this year's conference. The paper that I'm talking about is about point process texture basis functions. They can capture the structure of a texture, which can then be used to drive synthesis methods. Hereby, the work combines strengths of procedural textures and data-driven texture synthesis. The solution is a generalization over several existing methods and delivers breathtaking results, which really excited a lot of the committee members. The generated results are parametric, infinite, continuous, and avoid repetitions and guarantee a strong visual resemblance to the input exemplar. It is also noteworthy that the authors are sharing their method with the community, which deserves a special recognition. Without further ado, let me announce the winner. The honorable mention this year goes to Pascal Guhl, Rémi Allègre, Jean-Michel Bischler, Bedrich Benes, and Eric Galin for semi-procedural textures using point process texture basis functions. Congratulations. With this honorable mention out of the way, let us now move over to the Best Paper Award of this year. Slide, please. So the Best Paper Award of this year comes not only with the recognition, of course, of fantastic work, but also with a prize. Slide, please. And again. NVIDIA is sponsoring this event by handing out an NVIDIA Titan RTX GPU to the winner of this year's Best Paper Award. And the work that I'm talking about, you see the teaser here on the slide, has interestingly no direct bunnies in this teaser, there's no sponsor scene, and also no Cornell box. So what is this paper about? Well, it actually addresses a long-standing problem in the graphics community. This beautiful work introduced an exact analytic and deterministic method for sampling densities whose cumulative distribution functions cannot be inverted analytically. Usually, the fallback would be to employ approximate methods. Nevertheless, by computing an analytic area-preserving parameterization of the region under the curve, one can generate random points that are uniformly distributed under this curve of the target density. The abscissa of these points gives then a distribution with the wanted target density. This idea is really creative and tackles this long-standing problem in a completely new way by thinking out of the box, in this case, going from 1D to 2D. The committee was impressed by the beautiful theoretical insights and is convinced that this work will not only have a practical impact immediately, but also inspire many researchers in the future. The work that I'm talking about, slide please, is Erik Heid's paper on Can't Invert the CDF, the triangle cut parameterization of the region under the curve. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for following this award ceremony. We are very pleased with these fantastic papers, both. Again, congratulations from our side. And with this, I would hand back to Tim. Thank you.
This session can be perfect. So yes, I too congratulate the winners. I found this a very inspiring paper. It is indeed thinking outside of the box, and I'm already thinking about ways how I can apply it myself. We would also like to take the opportunity to thank all the other people who contributed to the success of the conference. First and foremost, the papers chairs and the IPC that did an enormous amount of work in the paper selection process, but also obviously all the authors who submitted, whether successful or not. We are really, really grateful for the community that is supporting the conference through strong submissions. And last but not least, I would also like to thank Eurographics. They were with us all throughout the time and also showed just the level of flexibility that we needed when during the pandemic, everything had to be rejigged and turned into a virtual conference. Abhijit is now going to introduce a little bit more our local team, also to give you a bit of a background, how we operated. In particular, Tobias is going to then also summarize these aspects of the conference. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Abhijit.
Thanks a lot, Tim. So first of all, we want to take this opportunity to definitely thank our generous sponsors who stayed with us and completely supported us, even though we had this big disruption due to the pandemic. So definitely we are very, very grateful to their continued support to EGSR, and hopefully they can continue to support the conference in future years. As Tim mentioned, this was to be a joint organization between Imperial College and UCL, and we are very grateful to the support that we received from our respective departments since last year, as well as our own research groups that contributed throughout the process of preparing for the conference. But we want to specifically thank some students and group members, as well as people who were not even at Imperial. For instance, we have one of our team members contributing from MPI, as you can see on this map. So during the pandemic, we will of course not be able to work together in one location. So we all contributed pools from various parts or wherever we were located. I want to specifically thank two people at Imperial who helped out with the conference. So Valentin, he started working on the website even before moving to Imperial while working on his PhD, and Hashan Patel, who is the department finance officer who helped us with managing the accounts and the sponsorship for EGSR. So with that, I'd like to pass it on to Tobias to talk more about the other aspects.
So thanks, Abhi. Already in the introduction, we looked at these three tools that we're going to use. And in retrospect, I wanted to go over them again and see if it worked out or what are the facts that we have in hands now. Let's start with YouTube. So all sessions roughly worked out, I would say. 2 were delayed. I'm sorry for that. We are sorry. There was an echo in the beginning. So it was a bad start, but we kept improving. There was a little break. But out of those 20 streams that we did with 58 speakers that had to onboard and Zoom and all of these things, I'm surprised that in the end it worked so well. So everybody fond of numbers in the end. We might not have those numbers like your favorite makeup tutorial on YouTube, but we do have 100 to 200 people steadily watching that live. I think that compared to what you usually have in EGSR could be considered a success. The keynote until now has been viewed 700 times. Still, again, not maybe compared to other YouTube videos, but for us, I think that's quite promising. If you missed these, all videos have now been cut and archived. Thanks to Valentin and others for doing this. So we cut out all the errors we made and the little delays we had. And so that's wrapped up nicely. The next thing we used was Rocket Chat. We had 285 users. I don't know about participant numbers in EGSR before. We had 155 people that had actively registered via the Google form. So they were interested, actively followed the web link, and then we were bothered to not only watch on YouTube, you can do that free, but really to actively participate with Rocket Chat. So I think it's a bit more than what we expected, and that's good. So out of those 285, they actively did that. The others we automatically registered, and a good deal of these also, of course, participated, but we can't fully say. There was the social mixer that mixed well, I understand. There was at least 2 groups, if I understand, of 30 users, so 15 each, that took the opportunity to mingle and chat and have a conversation. So I wasn't part of that, but I was told that was great too. The most active channels, here's a very, very small online award. It goes to this taxonomy session in MUM and 11.3. This was the spectral skin thing from Imperial and others. So they were most active according to the metrics. The last thing was Zoom. It played a small role in the thing, but in the end, 44 people made it to the MAM discussion. I think they said that's slightly more than what they usually would have. Town Hall, I'm not sure I measured right, but it has been about the same number. So that's also what you would have in EGSR. I would conclude that worked. So again, I would like to thank the people that made it technically possible. Thanks to all the volunteers, Valentin, David, Philip, Moshtaba. Again, this is what happens when you press the wrong button, capture moments in Skype, and then everybody gets captured. Now I replaced myself with Moshtaba, who looks much more serious than the others. So special thanks to Tristan Clark from UCL. He set up this Rocket Chat thing. It was for free in the end and really super configured, scalable, and we could use it. And that was, as we saw in the numbers, a good part of that conference. I'm passing on to Tim. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Right. All that is left is also to thank all of the attendees. And I really believe they did an excellent job at making this a conference that felt like a conference where people were coming together. Everyone made an effort. The discussions in Rocket Chat showed that everyone wanted this to succeed. And if I may say so myself, I feel it was a success. Very happy with how things went.
We were.
So with that, I wish everyone a safe 2020, and I hand over to George, who wanted to say a few final words.
Hello, everybody. Thanks. I just wanted to say 2 things. First, I'd like to add my thanks to the papers chairs, Carsten and Matt, for the excellent job and the fact that they managed this very difficult situation in the most amazingly professional and efficient way. I was very impressed, and I also enjoyed it, like everybody else said. And the second thing is that in normal years, what we do is we go around during dinner, and there's some object that I get some unfortunate student to buy, and they go around and everybody signs it, and then we give it to the organizers. Obviously, we were not able to do this year. So instead, what we did is it was a bit hard to organize because I didn't actually have people's emails and so on, and this had to be done sort of without the organizers knowing. So I just posted a link in the general Rocket Chat channel with a small thank you page where people have written, the people who managed to get the email have written a little thank you note. And for people who are listening who didn't get the email because I didn't have their email, feel free to add in a little thank you note if you want. It can either be handwritten and copied in or just written normally. That's all I had to say. Great thank you to the organizers. Tim, Abhijit and Tobias and all the volunteers. And thanks again for making this happen in such a wonderful way. Thank you very much.
Welcome, George. Thank you.
Thanks,
everybody.
Very welcome.